Dow up 73, Nasdaq up 51, S&P's up 7.5. Let's go over to our man, Mr. Basil Chapman. And don't forget, folks, Basil does an outstanding show here every trading day, 12 to 1 Eastern Standard Time. Also has a great newsletter, The Opening Call. Now, in order to get the opening call, come over to our website at TFNN. You're going to go right under featured content. What you're going to see right there is our man, Mr. Basil Chapman, is going to be doing a live event 1 week from today for his subscribers. It's very easy to be a subscriber to the opening call. The way you do it, come over to our website at TFNN. You're going to see the opening call right there. You just hit the opening call. You're going to hit subscribe. You can get it for 1 month for $128, 6 months for $595, which is a savings of $173, 1 year for $995, which is a savings of $541. So you come over, you subscribe. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. You like it, you keep it. Either way, you're going to get into the workshop. You don't like it, bottom line, you get your money back. You get a great workshop. Basil always does a great job on his workshops, as he does on the show every trading day. Basil Chapman, what's going on?
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Yourself?
Very good. So far, so good.
That's a beautiful thing. Kicking into February, right?
That's so quick. The months just fly by.
I'm telling you, man. Crazy. Crazy. So where are we going to start here? Let's look at the market a little, and then what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about what you're going to be teaching next Thursday, Basil.
Absolutely. So on the 17th of January, we made an all-time high, 29,373. Market came tumbling down to the 28,169 level. We actually were short from the following day. That's the 21st of January. And what's really interesting is that the speed with which we came down, and now within 4 sessions, this is very unusual to go into a signal sell mode.
Okay.
And then it takes you just 4 sessions. Actually, it was even less in other cases, to go to the upside, but not to an all-time high. So we've gone to an all-time high in the Dow. So the way I look at it, I don't have any choice now, because there was a G on the left side.
Okay.
There are no H's in the Chapman Wave methodology. You get to a G, you have to recycle. You've actually started a brand new buy signal.
And that's on the daily.
If you go to a higher high.
Yeah.
So now we're in a leg A. So that says to me, there should be higher highs to come over the next week and a half. So this fits perfectly for the webinar, because Thursday week, the earliest we can get to a leg D would be Thursday. So if every day there's an alternate count going to a new high and then a peak and another new high, that takes you to Thursday. So that's very important. But at the same time, the S&P, and also we were missing in the weekly chart, I always look for at least 4 highs to complete a buy mode. It doesn't mean to say that's where you have to turn down. It just means that's the obligation of the Chapman Wave methodology, to get you to at least the 4th highest peak, alphabetized. It's A, B, C. D is the one we went to. Finally, we've gotten to, today we went to leg D in the Dow, and it's actually leg E in the S&P, and the S&P also made a new high.
Look at that, huh?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And look at the speed. That's really the issue. So I'll just combine the two things that we're talking about here. So in my webinar, I talk about speed. I'll be talking about, if you have, I've called it dark cloud cover. I don't want it to get mixed up with the candlestick called the dark cloud cover. This is dark news cloud cover. And what it really means is that to sustain a move, I spoke to you about this the other day. I said the majority of time, if you go back to just forever in the Dow, 1920, 1900, doesn't matter. The majority of the time, the market is moving higher. If there is a sell-off, it can last months, it can last maybe 2 years, maybe even 3 years, but the majority of the time, we're looking at new highs. So what we want to do is to find out what could persevere, what could give you a sell signal that really limits the upside, and finally you're starting to see lower lows and lower highs in the daily, and that actually starts to unfold in such a way that it impacts the weekly chart. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. When and what will we be looking for in my newsletter, The Opening Call, for some much deeper correction, what are the signs that I'm looking for? And what so far has worked very nicely, I can just, well, let me just finish with what we were talking about. So the QQQ also made a new high. This is a little bit more extended in the Chapman Wave. It's actually in leg C, leg E in the weekly chart. IWM has just been a laggard for so long.
Isn't that
and
crazy?
Even now it's a laggard.
I know.
Well, it's very interesting because if you think of fund managers in this kind of market, 11 years of a bull market, they now are just saying, I'm sticking with what works. Yeah. I think that if you look at the Russell 2000, it says right there, it's got very little interest. It's being pushed up or hauled up because it's not doing it on its own. At some point, probably it'll start to work by itself, but it isn't right now. So I'll be talking about all these different aspects in the webinar. The ad for the webinar we talk about, I use the SMHs as like a canary in the coal mine because they've led the market up and down for years now. So they were starting to fail, and I said this is a very good indication that there should be at least a sharp decline in the Dow. So we were short the Dow and short the SMHs, and we covered those, made a profit, nothing like it was at the bottom, but we did make money. And now I'm watching these very closely because that dark cloud cover, let me just go back to this here. You can see how quick it is. The pink line right here on the right, that's where the 9-period crosses negatively below the 14-period moving average. It didn't do that since October the 8th. The green line, even with that brief sell-off going to the December 3rd low, it held. It didn't turn pink. Green is the way is above, pink is below, and it did it for 3 days. Now it's gone back to green. So I'm going to discuss some of these techniques. I'm going to discuss what I'd be looking for in the various sectors. If there is a sell signal of significance, what would it impact, how you can use the volatility index. So as usual, it's very comprehensive, but my real focus is on how the news impacts the market and how sustained it needs to be to continue pushing the market down. Because basically we're looking at the market like a cork in water. It keeps wanting to bounce to the upside. So what is going to keep the market down? And I think that that's going to be the real challenge. And from what I'm looking at here, we should have a very choppy, it doesn't have to go much higher, but a very choppy period coming up for about a week and a half. And then I think we'll probably get another sell signal. That's going to be the key one because finally we've got that D in the weekly chart, we've got an E in the monthly chart, in the weekly chart of the S&P. That's the point where I expect that because it might be time, it might be price, but a lot also is impact. You know, last week we had impeachment, we had the coronavirus, we had yields, we had China, tariffs, we had everything, and yet look how quickly the market came back. So there's a great resiliency.
It's amazing.
And you said, what do you say? Vitamin C, right? That's what it's looking for.
Shake it off, man. Listen, folks. Come over to our website at TFNN. You can see on the featured content, opening call. You hit subscribe. You can get it for a month, 6 months, a year, all with 30-day money-back guarantee. Great newsletter, great workshop. A week from today, 4 to 5:30. And Basil has other workshops on there, folks. So as soon as you subscribe, you go through that archive. You're going to ride that wave. Basil, you have a great one, safe one. Of course, we look forward to the program tomorrow.
You too, Tom. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stay right there, folks. Come right back.